Most people freeze when the world starts breaking down, markets dropping, headlines screaming, phone buzzing non-stop, and somewhere in the back of your head, a voice saying, "Do something before it gets worse." But here's the scenario I want you to sit with. What if you had $10,000 ready to deploy right now? Not inherited, not lucky, just sitting in a high-yield account, waiting for exactly this moment. Where would it actually go? Not where Reddit says, not where the panic traders are rushing. Where it would actually go if you understood how crises work and what always comes after them. My name is Tom, and I spend way too much time thinking about how to build wealth when everything around you feels like it's falling apart. If you want a real framework for investing during a crisis, not guesses, not vibes, hit subscribe and give this a thumbs up. Let's build the portfolio. Before a single dollar moves, understand this one thing. Crises are not anomalies. They're scheduled disruptions that show up without dates. Every decade has them: wars, recessions, pandemics, banking collapses, and every single time, two groups emerge on the other side: the ones who panicked and sold, and the ones who stayed calm, deployed capital, and quietly built wealth while everyone else ran for the exit. This portfolio isn't built for gambling on which crisis play rockets first. It's built on one principle: when fear peaks, prices bottom, and when prices bottom, patient capital wins. That's the entire game. Now let's talk specifics. Position 1. $4,000 into a broad market index fund. This is the anchor, the foundation that doesn't move regardless of the headline. A broad index fund tracking the total U.S. market, or S&P 500, doesn't bet on one company surviving. It bets on the entire economy surviving. And historically, that bet has never lost over a 10 to 15-year window. Not once. During the 2008 collapse, markets dropped roughly 50%. By 2013, they had fully recovered. By 2020, they had more than tripled from the bottom. You're not buying because you think it goes up tomorrow. You're buying because you know it goes up eventually, and right now, you're getting it on sale. Split this into 4 equal entries over 4 weeks. Dollar cost averaging. It removes the pressure of perfect timing and works especially well when prices are swinging hard. Position 2. $2,000 into energy or commodity exposure. Crises, especially geopolitical ones, almost always spike oil and commodity prices. That's not a theory. That's supply chain math. A low-cost energy ETF or broad commodity fund gives you exposure without betting everything on one company or one event. This isn't a long-term hold. It's a tactical position that acknowledges what crises historically do to physical assets. Set a target. If this position gains 25 to 30%, consider rotating some of those profits back into the index fund. Crisis plays are sprints. The index is the marathon. Position 3. $2,000 into dividend-paying stocks. Most people skip this because it feels boring. That's exactly why it works. During a downturn, a company still paying dividends is sending you a signal. Cash flow is stable even while the stock price falls. Dividend stocks tend to fall less in crashes, recover more steadily, and while you're waiting for the rebound, they're literally sending cash back to you. That cash gets reinvested, which buys more shares at the depressed price, which compounds harder when recovery hits. Boring on the surface, quietly powerful underneath. Position 4. $1,500 into gold. This is your hedge, not your hero. Gold doesn't compound. It doesn't pay dividends. But during genuine fear, when everything is selling off, gold does one thing well. It doesn't collapse. Think of it as a financial life raft. You don't want to live on it. You just want it there if the ship takes on water. $1,500 here stabilizes the portfolio psychologically. If markets drop another 15% after you deploy, gold likely holds or rises, which cushions the blow and stops you from panic selling the positions that actually matter. Position 5. $500 kept liquid. This gets skipped every time. It shouldn't. Crises don't end in a straight line. There are secondary shocks, second dips, more fear spikes after the first wave. Keeping $500 liquid means you still have a move when everyone else has already played their hand and is just hoping. It's not sitting idle. It's waiting for the highest conviction moment that appears after the initial chaos settles. The full portfolio. $4,000, broad index fund, 4 equal entries over 4 weeks. $2,000, energy or commodity. ETF, tactical hold. $2,000, dividend stocks, steady compounder $1,500. Gold ETF, stabilizer $500. Liquid reserve, dry powder for wave. 2. Total $10,000. No single bet, no prediction required, no panic needed. Here's the honest part. This will probably look worse before it looks better. That's not a flaw. That's the point. You're not buying during a crisis because it feels good. You're buying because the math tilts in your favor when everyone else is emotionally compromised. The discomfort is the signal that it's working. The investors who built real wealth through 2008, through 2020, through every major crisis, didn't have better information. They just had a framework before the fear arrived and stuck to it when everything inside them said, stop. You now have a framework. 5 years from now, markets will be higher. The question is whether your $10,000 was in it for the ride or sitting in a checking account quietly losing ground while you waited for a moment that never felt quite right enough. The right moment is when it's uncomfortable. That's always been the secret. If this gave you a real framework, hit subscribe and drop a comment. What's the hardest part of investing when everything feels uncertain? You're not alone in that. And the answer might change how you think about the next crisis entirely.